Welcome to Decoding the Code, the YouTube show for developers. Get ready for your host, Mark Backus.
Hello and welcome everyone to Decoding the Code. Today we are having here as a guest speaker, Catalin. We've been friends for a while. We have worked before on Whiskey Wednesday, and I'm really happy to be here with him again now. He is a developer advocate at Hashnode, where he writes a lot of blog posts. He's widely popular on Twitter. He has a YouTube channel, which I will link above here. And hello and welcome, Catalin. Thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule. How are you doing?
Hello, Mark. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here on this show. I've seen that you had some great people, and you are also my friend. So it's my pleasure to be here. I'm good, thank you. How about you?
Yes, I'm doing fine. It's a nice morning. So yes, I wanted to ease in the conversation a little bit with your coding journey. Can you tell us a little bit about for how long have you been coding and which technologies have you been using?
Okay, I've been coding for 2 years professionally, and for more unprofessionally. I used mostly JavaScript, which is Node.js. I didn't use any front-end framework. That's what I'm learning now. So professionally, I use technologies like Node.js, Docker, Drone, which is something like Jenkins, AWS, Pug, and mainly that's the stack I was using and the stack I'm focusing. I'm just adding Vue now.
Okay, nice. Yeah, you're talking to the right person. I love Vue.
Yeah.
My audience already knows that. How do you find Vue so far? Yeah, I saw you started playing around with it a little bit.
I like it so much more than other frameworks. I don't know. In my case, it feels more intuitive, cleaner, and easier to write applications in it. It's not like a mess of everything in one place. Yeah. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that was my same perception. It's very clean and like tight.
Yeah.
I already mentioned you work at Hashnode as a developer advocate. Can you tell us a little bit about this role? What tasks are you doing there?
So mainly I'm advocating for developers that are also bloggers on Hashnode, and I try to bring their ideas and needs into Hashnode. For example, if someone wants to see something in Hashnode and if it makes sense and it's reasonable, I pass that to the dev team and I make sure it gets implemented. I also create code examples around our Hashnode API, also the custom CSS, for example. I already have a video out about that. So I try to make it easier for people to use the features we already have, to show them how to do it and what they can do, and to advocate for bloggers' best interest. I hope it makes sense.
Yes, that sounds very interesting, actually. And do I remember correctly? You don't have to answer this, but do I remember correctly that you left your former job in order to pursue something on your own? Something like this?
I left my former job, but not for this, because I was burned out. That's why I left my former job. I felt super tired, burned out, and all that stuff, and I couldn't work properly. Basically, I felt like beep. And I had to take a break of 1.5 months or 2 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Where I did nothing. I just relaxed. I just did stuff that I liked. And after that, Hashnode came with a proposal which was too good to refuse. So that's how it went.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's super important. I think you did the right thing if you're burnt out to take a step back, because so many people don't and end up in a very bad situation afterwards. So good for you on that. And how did you find the job? Did Hashnode reach out to you?
I just wrote a post or a thread or whatever about this this week. So how did I get into this? First of all, I tried Hashnode, I think last year in August. That's when I moved my WordPress blog to their platform, and since then I loved it. So I started promoting the product. I started bringing people in. I started recommending Hashnode, and that caught the eye of the management. And then I got in touch with Sandeep and Fazal, which are the CEOs of the company. We started collaborating little by little. For example, at first we just did it part-time. I just helped with some stuff. And then when I was free, when I was not working, they just came with a full-time offer, and here I am. So it was a process. It wasn't everything in one go. We spoke for a long time and collaborated for a long time.
Oh yes, nice. Yeah, so that's why it's important to keep your connections up and running, to network a lot. I think.
Yeah,
it's very overlooked.
So that's thanks to my Twitter presence and to my online presence as a whole.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so for everyone who's watching or listening to this, it's important to be on more than one platform. That's why I'm trying to create something here on YouTube. I'm already on Twitter, but just on Twitter. So yeah, trying this. All right. And you said you started in August using Hashnode. And have you been blogging before seriously, or?
Yes, I think last year was the first year when I took this seriously and started to write posts consistently. And I did that on WordPress. That's what I used before for all my blogs. But even though it's a stable platform and I don't know, it has a lots of features and things like that, I found it way too bloated for my needs. And also I just wanted to be like the cool kids and having a I don't know, Next.js blog or things like that, because if I'm not mistaken, Hashnode runs on React and Next.js.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, so you've been blogging for like roughly a year now, seriously, and but what are even what's the importance of blogging? Why is important blogging? Why is blogging important for especially developers? What are some benefits you can tell us about?
So I love blogging, and I'm a big advocate for blogging, especially as developers, because to teach is to learn twice. If you know you're not damn, my English is failing me. If you think you know something, try to teach it, because you'll see that you have some gaps in your knowledge for sure, and it also helps you reinforce your knowledge. Every time I write about something, I learn it better and I understand it better. Also, you are likely to have the same problems in the future, so it's nice to blog about your problems and how you solve those problems, so you can come back every time you face the same issue. Basically, you save time. Besides that, it's likely that more people will have the same problem, so as a bonus you help others.
Okay, so you basically you're saying that you're blogging for yourself, and all the other things are nice side effects of that.
Yeah, that's how I started, and that's how I do it, and that's how I'll do it forever with my blog and my YouTube channel. I do it for myself. I do it to get out of my comfort zone, to enforce my learnings, to cement my knowledge, and I do it to benefit myself first, to improve myself, and if it helps others, it's a bonus.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that's a nice way to think. Yes. Okay, moving on. what do you think is like many people host their blog on WordPress.com, on Hashnode itself, on the domain of Hashnode and so on. So what do you think of owning your own domain, even though it's on another platform, versus just using the platform domain? Do you think there are advantages one versus the other?
Yes, there are many advantages of using a personal domain, and I highly recommend it. First and foremost is getting all that SEO juice. For example, if you use, I don't know, a generic URL like yourname.hashnode.com, or I don't know, whatever, you give all that SEO to the platform. For example, if in 1 year you decide to move to your blog, which can be yourname.com, you lost everything, because everything goes to that platform. But if you have a domain, it doesn't matter where it's hosted, if it's WordPress, Hashnode, or whatever. If you move and if you have the same articles and the same article URLs, then you don't lose anything, because the stuff that's indexed in the Google already, it will still work. So I highly recommend it. And that's why I don't recommend blogging on platforms that don't allow you to do this, unless you don't care. And also, this is just I don't know, it's just my idea, and it's not that important, but still, it looks super professional. It looks more professional to have your domain rather than blog on a subdomain. And yeah, that's all. And my most important point, and the reason I do it, it's because of SEO. I don't want to lose everything, because I spend a lot of time writing and taking care of my blog.
Oh yes, definitely. I also find it's as you say, more professional when you see some lastname.com or some creative.dev domain, or like yours, Catalins.tech.
Yeah, imagine you see something like techdude.wordpress.com. You just cannot take that seriously.
Yeah, and it takes away the authenticity, like when it's like frontendman.wordpress.com, whatever. It's like, who is this? Like, you want to know who is writing this. You're always interested in who is this person. You want to know that they are authentic and so on.
Yes, I agree.
All right. And on a similar topic, what do you think are advantages or disadvantages of hosting your own blog versus using a platform such as Hashnode? Or better ask, why did you opt for a platform?
I opted for a platform like Hashnode because I just want to focus on writing. I don't want to fix stylings. I don't want to fix errors, issues, and so on. But this is not to say that that's the best way for everyone. There is no universal thing that works for everyone. If you want full control of your blog, and if you are fine with fixing stuff and building stuff, then yeah, you can go for a custom one. If you just want to focus on writing, and if you want that to work properly, you can use a platform like Hashnode. And Hashnode meets all my needs, and I said this before joining them. So when I say something about Hashnode, it's not because I work for them, it's why I work for them, which is a big difference.
Nice. Yes, I agree.
And yeah, they meet all my needs. The blog is fast, the design is clean, it has lots of integrations, but like I said, it's not for everyone. For example, some people prefer having their custom platform, hosting themselves and everything. So everyone to...
I'm really glad you answered the way you did, because that's exactly what I was going for, because like there's no one solution for all, even between the platforms. Like maybe some people like better WordPress, some like better Hashnode, some like better Dev 2 or practical Dev. And some people, such as myself, like to play around with things. Like my blog is in Nuxt.js, and I have a lot of fun building it. So it's there's no one solution for all, and I think everyone needs to think about whether they want to spend time creating it or if they just want to write.
That's right. And your blog looks super nice. And yeah, just because I work for Hashnode, it doesn't mean I'm just saying Hashnode is the best, because everyone has different needs and values. So
of course, yes. All right. And okay, moving away from this platform domain conversation, I want to know a little bit more about your blogging, your blogging itself. So can you tell us a little bit about the process when you create a blog post? How do you go about it? Like, do you look up the topics you want to talk, etc.? But what exactly are? Do you have some steps you follow for creating a blog post?
Not necessarily, and this is something that I don't like and I want to change. For example, up to this point, I was only blogging about topics that came to my mind randomly. But from now on, I want to keep it more structured. I want to draft a list of topics, and I want to do it more methodically. So I have consistent content and kind of related content. For example, I don't want to talk about how I made money online and then write an article about how to build a Nuxt.js blog, because I don't think they go well on my blog. So I just want to focus on one area, and then write only about those topics. And coming back to the question, when I want to write about something, let's say I want to write about Vue. This is a new topic which I'm learning, and I do it to reinforce my learning. So I get a lot of information and resources, and I write what I understand, but to be sure I don't talk crap and I don't teach the wrong things or things like that. I just use those sources to verify myself and to make sure the information is accurate. If it's something I know about, for example, let's say I write about building a crude API with Node.js, I just build a project, I explain how to do it, and then at the end of the article, I follow all my steps and the whole article to make sure everything works. And if it's something I'm not sure, I check it, but other than that, I just proceed. So it depends on the topic I write about. I hope I answered your question, because I have the habit of drifting away.
Yeah, no, you answered my question. Thank you for that. And which tools do you use any specific tools for idea collection or writing up your stuff, or do you just write it down in the Hashnode CMS, or do you go through another tool before?
For organizing my ideas and everything, I just use the Hashnode editor. For example, if I want to write about a topic, I just start a draft, add the title, maybe a bit of information, and then save it as a draft. But when I'm writing and publishing articles, I always use Grammarly, because I'm not a native English speaker, as you can tell. And I need that to check my grammar and everything. So I've been using that for 4 years now or something like that. It's my go-to tool. Sometimes I also use the what it's called, the Hemingway editor, I think. Which is similar to Grammarly. And very rarely I use Quillbot, which helps you make your sentences shorter, more concise, easier to understand, and things like that. So yeah, that's how I do it. I use Hashnode, CMS or editor or whatever to store my ideas as drafts. And when I publish those, I use mostly Grammarly to check it, proofread it, and things like that.
Okay, with Grammarly, do you use the built-in or the Google plugin, or do you open the website and you paste it there just to correct it?
Long articles, usually articles, I go into their websites, paste everything, and do everything in their website. I don't like editing with the Chrome extension, but I use the Chrome extension for shorter sentences. For example, if I write an idea or a tweet, I use that, but otherwise no.
Okay. And on Hashnode, do you write in Markdown, or is there, well, two-part question? Is it possible to write in Markdown, and or is it needed to write in Markdown?
I think at the moment you can only write in Markdown, and we are in talks of implementing it at what you see is what you get editor. I think that's the name. Personally, I don't like it, but some people like it, so we might have that one as well. And personally, I write in Markdown. I do that for years now, because you can even do it in WordPress. And I love it. I don't like writing in other formats, and even when I take notes, I use Markdown.
Yeah, I'm the same. I love Markdown because it's so universal. When you use some rich text or editor, or some you see what you get editor, everyone has their own implementation, and you can't just, or not, at least not always, just copy the content and then over, because like the bold is different in one platform and the other. And when you post the Markdown, you are sure, because it's the standard, that everything like is also easier to share. Like if I write a blog post, I write just in a Markdown file, because that's where I'm also publishing it. I literally open the project of my blog, I write the Markdown file, I save it, and I push it to production. It's building, and you will see it on the on the blog. But then when I want to post it to another platform, such as Hashnode or Dev2, I can just copy it and paste it there. So without any, I think that's just the thing I like the most.
Now that you said it, for example, I cross-post some of my articles on Medium and on HackerNoon, and they use it. They use a "what you see is what you get" editor, and it's so bad. The Medium one is slightly better. It's not that difficult, but the HackerNoon, and I'm sorry to say this, it SUCKS. It's so bad.
Room for improvement.
Yeah.
You talked about ideas before, like you want to make it more consistent to come up with ideas for blog posts, so your content is more consistent. But how do you go about coming even up with content ideas? Do you just do something and you're like, oh yeah, this is interesting, I will post it? Or is there again some other process behind it?
Like I said, I blog about three things: about what I learn, how I solve problems, and about what I know. So for example, at the moment I'm learning Vue, so I'm gonna blog about that. Sometimes, I didn't do it in a while, I write about AWS, because that's what I used in my previous workplaces, and it's something I enjoy a lot. And I also write about issues and how I solve them. For example, last week I had to include a SAS file globally in a Vue project, so I could access the variables in all those files. I had to Google that and follow a tutorial, which was a bit too long and complicated for what you had to do. So I plan to write about that too. So that's how I come up with ideas. At the moment, I'm at Vue fundamentals, so I write about that to reinforce my learnings, and I draft the topics on paper because I'm an old school guy. Then if I encounter an issue in any of the projects I do, I don't know, Node.js, Keystone, Vue, and so on, I write them down and blog about them. And when I also write about what I know, and usually I write that as paid articles. For example, recently I wrote a post about building a simple CRUD API with Node.js, and I sold that for money. So this is how I come with ideas.
Yeah, I like that. You said three things. I post what I know, what I'm working on, and what I
post about what I'm learning, about the issues I solve, and about what I know. So three things.
Yeah. What you're learning, the issues you solve, and what you know. Yeah. I really like that concept. All right. And are there some topics that do generally better than others? Like some topics that do generally very good, or is it a little bit all over the place?
I only came to one conclusion, and this is not about topics but about formats, and I hate doing those articles. I only did a few. The listicles, for example, the 10 best front-end frameworks to learn in
Okay.
2021, which are the same you should have learned in 20 or even 2018. So you just update the title. Those listicles are super boring, but they get lots of views, and I don't understand why. For example, I wrote a super simple article, which I'm not proud of, called 10 programming projects for beginners in 2021 or something like that. It was something super basic. I listed 10 ideas, a little bit of explanation, and it had 4K views in a few days. But then I posted the Keystone JS tutorial or course or whatever you want to call it, and it barely has 400 views or something like that. But I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind it because in the long term it's gonna be worth it, and from the perspective of SEO and your audience. But sometimes it's a bit frustrating. For example, you can see on Twitter all those 10 websites every developer needs to know, and then they add a space after the dot, Google dot space com. That's such a pointless content. I don't want to be negative, but that's just pointless. Yes, sorry for drifting. These are the articles that do well in my perspective or from my experience.
So how much time do you spend on average on a blog post? I imagine it varies very much from the type of content you write, but which amount of time you usually spend on a blog post?
If it's up to 1,000 words and I don't have to build a project, it takes me 2 hours or less. If I have to build a project, if it's a programming tutorial, it takes me maybe 1 day because I don't write the whole day on it. So altogether is 1 day. And if it's something super long, like I did with that Keystone JS article, it takes me a few days because I have to write everything, I have to build the project, I have to check everything, and then I publish it. So it takes me a lot of days because, as I say, I don't work 1 full day on the article. So I work 2 hours 1 day, 1 hour the next day, 3 hours the next day, and so on. It depends.
Yeah, it's I think content creators spend a lot more time on the content than most people would think, and therefore often don't entirely appreciate what you're doing. So you say sometimes you spend a day on a blog post and it's like, oh yeah, this is an 8-minute read, and you scroll through, oh, okay, nice. And it's like Netflix, like they spend like so much time on a series, and you just inhale it within like 8 hours.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said, I do this for myself, and I don't know, I can't explain this feeling, but it's super nice when I press that publish button on an article or on a YouTube video. So I would lie if I would say I don't care about numbers because I care a lot, but still that comes into the second place.
Okay, right. Yeah, and one question: do you get haters on your blog, like people that are like really negative about your content, or don't you get any of those?
I only had a few on my blog and YouTube channel. Someone says I'm a super overrated writer. Another one on my channel, I don't even remember the comment, and I usually don't care. For example, if they say you beep, I don't care because it says that without explaining how can I improve or something like that. So I don't care. But if someone says, man, you're so bad at writing because you do this, that, and this and that, and then I take their opinion seriously and I try to improve it. I don't take it personally.
How many times per week, more or less, do you blog? And what's the importance between frequency or what's your frequency and consistency on the blogging?
Like I said, I'm not super consistent with it, and I don't have a schedule. For example, this month I think there were 2 weeks where I didn't write anything or something like that, and then this week I wrote 3 or 4 articles which I didn't publish yet. So I need to even that out. I need to create a schedule, and I need to do it more methodically. So to answer the question, sometimes I don't do it for days or weeks. Sometimes I write a handful in 1 week, which is not good in my opinion, at least.
Yes, I have the same problem. Like the last time I blogged was in October last year.
You beat me.
So yeah, like then I'm like, oh yeah, I write this blog post, and this, like I throw out like 3 in a week, and then I'm like too busy, or worse, I don't come up with any ideas, and then like for a month I don't do anything, and the blog just sits there, which is a shame. I should really do more of this, but then I'm like, oh, I can't get an idea what to post. But you said like just post what you're learning, what you're fixing, and what you know, and you're good. So
for example, you could make a nice blog series about how you build your blog, or even YouTube videos. There is always something you can blog about. People just have this idea. You have to have this grandiose idea about how to land people on the moon and write an article about it, but it's not like that. And the one I appreciate in the blogging community, and the one I learned many things from, is Flavio Copes, or whatever you say his name. He blogs constantly, and what I got from his blogging ebook is that try to solve a problem with your blog, not meet a word quota. So for example, if your blog article doesn't have 10,000 words, it doesn't mean it's not good. If you can solve a problem and help people in 5 words, then do it. So that's what I try to do lately.
I saw some of his blog posts are very short and very concise and solving a very specific problem. I like those. So it's like when you Google something and you're like, a lot of times you get to Flavio Copes' website and it solves just the little piece, just what you needed. I think that's a nice way to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to replicate. He's my mentor, but he doesn't know it.
All right, and one topic maybe many are curious about is thumbnails. How do you even pick them? Do you make them themselves? Do you use a tool to create them? How about thumbnails?
I use Canva Pro. I have that one for 1 year now, and I use it to create all my stuff, including blog thumbnails and arts and images. It's super useful. It saves me a lot of time, and most of the time I create one template and I just reuse it. But when I get bored of it, I just pick a template and modify it, or start from scratch. For a long time I used those rectangles, or what they are called, but I'm super bored of them, so I just change it. Now I don't use a style for all my articles. I just do it randomly, and I've seen that stock images don't work anymore, so I don't use those. For example, if I write a tutorial, I'm not using someone typing at their computer, which you can still see on Medium. They still use stock images a lot. For example,
you can also see that on my blog. I also use stock, well, not stock images, but unsplash images.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, someone who wants to start blogging, who doesn't have a blog yet, what would you recommend them how to get started?
For example, just try to do the basics. How to say it? Try to find an article or a video that explains the basics of writing. For example, I see new writers, and not even new writers, laying out an article without paragraphs or without headings, and it's super hard to read it, and it looks ugly as well. So for example, you have 1,000 words article in one go, no headings, no anything. Or again, coming back to blogging as a developer, including images with code rather than code snippets or gist, which is again I don't see the point because you cannot copy the code. So I just closed those articles instantly. So if I would give some tips, they would be: split your articles into sections, use headings, for example, introduction, section 1, 2, 3, conclusion. What else? Include code snippets, not code images, or include both if you want. Don't copy. If you use something, just specify it. Nobody's gonna bat an eye if you are honest. Let me see what. Proofread your articles. Use a tool like Grammarly. If you can't afford it, use the non-premium version or the Hemingway editor.
Okay, yeah, that's some very nice advice for beginners to like get into, like look a little bit about how others write, maybe also like get inspired by a blog you like and see how they do things.
Yep.
All right. Yes, I think we are concluded here. I asked all the questions I wanted to ask you. Do you have something you want to tell the audience? Could be anything, some tip you want to give, or something that's coming up for you next, something you want to plug here.
I'm not gonna plug anything. If you want, you can just search for my name and you'll see my blog, my YouTube channel, and everything on Google. So yeah, if I could give one tip, is to try to build a social presence. It helped me tremendously, and I think it can help everyone. You don't have to be the next big thing. Even having a few 100 or 1,000 people you can interact with and things like that is gonna be super useful. Network a lot. Try to help people genuinely, because it will come back to you. Try to establish relationships, friendships. For example, in 1.5 years on Twitter, I made a lot of friends, and I can't wait for the pandemic to be over and meet some of them in real life. One of those is you.
Yes.
Which yeah, it can bring lots of opportunities. So yeah, try to build an online audience. Of course, if you want, it's not a must. You don't want to do it if you don't want. And also just remember that I'm one of the biggest introverts in real life, which you couldn't tell from looking online. Yeah, I think that's all from my side.
Okay, thank you very much, Catalin, for all your answers and for even coming on the show. And yes, to my audience, I hope you come back next Monday.
Thank you very much. It was my biggest pleasure to be here. I hope people will like it, and if not, you can always press the dislike button twice.
Amazing. Okay, thank you, Catalin. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for watching Decoding the Code. A new episode will be available every week, so don't forget to tune in next Monday. For past episodes, check out the website decoding.show.